the Reforged Mafia. Welcome to the family. Today I've got with me Titus as usual, and we have a very special guest with us today, welcoming Jordan, Jmonster, who's our guest speaker for today.
Hi everybody, nice to be here.
Brilliant. So today we've got something special for you. We've got a 3v3 custom, well, it's not even a 3v3, a 4v3 custom map made by Muro. The map is Tarnost. It's a beautiful, beautiful map. Lots of choke points, lots of juicy action. But we'll get into that in a little bit later. To start off, I'm going to hand over to Titus, who's going to do the Allies army composition, and then Jordan is just going to pick things off, and we'll kickstart the battle from there.
Yeah, sounds good. So pretty much, there's going to be 3 armies. Muro, me, and Liam, we're all Mordor, and Lyster is going to have Rune with the Golden Boys, but for now, we'll go over Muro's army. We'll just go over a couple quick things, because pretty much every single one of these Mordor armies is the same.
Pretty much.
Yeah, we're all going to have like a couple basic archers in the front, loose formation. We're going to have just standard orc maulers behind them. And then I think we each brought Black Legion.
Yeah, I think every single Mordor army has brought two units of the Black Legion of Barad-dûr. We had obviously Muro knows the map since he made it, and there are lots of choke points. So I think everyone has taken 2 units. I think it's pretty much a must in this sort of scenario, and you'll kind of see how they come into play a little bit later. And sorry for the choppy camera angles in the start. This particular bit of the map is badly made.
God damn it, Muro. You fucked up.
God damn it, Muro.
Oh shit, I just got you guys demonetized, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. We haven't crossed that bridge yet. So, it's only in this part of the map, so forgive us. We'll move on quite quickly. Muro will die anyway, so...
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. So
orcs die. What's new? But yeah, and then we each brought a catapult because it's kind of there's a lot of choke points in it, so they come in handy. I think he brought 2 trolls, or no, that's just 1 unit of trolls, and some drummers as well.
Oh, no? These are the Olokai.
Yeah, that's not drummers.
I think in the lobby he said he didn't want troll drummers. They were too slow. So I think he was originally going to bring 2 units of mountain trolls and got rid of troll drummers and sunk them into the Olokai, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I like the trolls. But yeah, for me, I brought a catapult as well. I brought the troll drummers. Pretty much the army is the exact same thing, but I brought 3 units of trolls just because that's how I like to roll. And brought a couple cav units as well. Some Numenorean Lancers. We got the...
Cav in a map this open there's potential for the enemies to sort of sally out. So I think even if you choose, even if they don't come in handy, or you don't use them the way you want them to, having a few units of cav or excessive amount of trolls as well as cav in Titus's case is useful just to sort of scare them off for any potential sally.
Yeah, it's just a kind of like a buff, but yeah. So, and then I guess your army is what, the exact same thing?
Pretty much. I think I've gone for my interesting picks are I'm not 100% sure where they are since I'm moving them, but I've gone for both the Temple Guard and the Numenorean Shadow Guard. My general's actually in the Temple Guard. I did decide to pick up 1 unit of Melkor's Chosen for the anti-cav purposes. I've got 2 units of trolls and a troll catapult as well.
Yeah, so there's 400 trolls on the field.
There's a lot of trolls.
There's an excessive amount of trolls, beyond regulation.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you guys got a permit for all these trolls.
But yeah, and so the Golden Boys, it's just a standard Rune army. Let's see, he's got the Camille's Shadow Guard, then he's got Oh, so you got it.
Balkov.
I can't really see it that good.
he's got the tribesmen. He's got some crossbowmen. The standard sort of contingent of golden boys, with some Loke-Nara Rim for archer support. He's also got some shadow bows and the Dragon Wrath crossbows, and you will see how they come into play a little bit later. Also for Cav, he's got some Dragon Knights, and he's also got the Lock-in-Ass Rim, which I think are just the mid-tier sort of cavalry for Rune. I think they're playing around with like a charge of like 10, so they're good.
No, he's got the other ones too.
Oh, does he? Is that 3 units of Cav?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, I mean, I was in the battle, I should know this.
Well, I think they're hidden, so that's okay. We'll see him later.
We'll see them later. So I'm just going to pass over to Jordan now, who's going to quickly introduce the enemy or defenders, players and their factions, and just do what we've done and just breeze through.
Ooh, it's my turn. So, yeah, I'll be looking at the defenders, and the first one we're going to look at is one of the developers, actually. This is one of the lead developers who was in charge of Reforged. This is the infamous Synn of the Darkcloud. And he's going to be playing as Umbar, so he's got some Warlords of Umbar, which I'm sure we can all appreciate the Warlords of Umbar. They're a very powerful unit, and they're also very, very sexy. Like, 10 out of 10 would swipe right. He's also got some Harbingers of Casimir, who got a little bit of an aesthetic facelift thanks to Karen Dole. And they got some horns now, so yeah, they're extra evil.
Nice.
Yeah, I like it.
We got the Casimir's Legion as well, which kind of threw me a little bit. I didn't realize that they'd been renamed. That happened while I was on vacation, so yeah, I came back and they're now the Casimir's Legion, but they're no less deadly, and they're definitely a really cool looking unit. Going to the new units in the .96 Enxfitz, that's the Naru Sentinels, and currently they're not locked morale, but between just us, there's another small hotfix that will be coming out, because, you know, our job is just never fucking over, and they're going to be locked morale, and yeah, like all the other Naru units, so that's kind of cool. Of course, they're pikes.
I've also been talking to Kuro, and I've begged him to try and increase the speed of the troll drummers. He said that that's as fast as they can go, but there might be some news on the AoE and having a slightly larger radius. But yeah, I digress. Back to Jordan.
From what I understand, there were some pretty amusing issues with the new troll units that Crimson Behelite made. Especially the Ola guy. He managed to get it sorted out in the end, so they look kind of normal now. But previously they were really slow because of their animations, so you had to like up the speed to like 2.0, and then they would just like comically shuffle across the ground on really tiny legs. It was great.
Like Slenderman.
But I digress. Naru Royal Guard actually getting a big change. Right now they're really overpowered, and I don't know if anyone's noticed that. They've got more men in a unit than a ranged bodyguard should by about 20 men. And they're also AP with 20 melee defense, so they're kind of scary. So yeah, I'm sure you're gonna see them kick a lot of ass in this battle. Of course, they're blackguards as well.
They shred us.
I guess now is kind of if you don't mind me taking up too much time, there is a little note on dual wielding units, and a lot of them are going to be getting more melee defense because they have some weird stuff going on with their animations. So they attack a little bit slower, so they kind of need higher melee defense to be decent. So that's the thing. That'll be coming to you guys soon. I got some crossbow Corsairs. It's apparently a really big thing. Like I tested Sindar Bodyguard versus like Dol Amroth Militia, and they lost like 7 men fighting the unit. It was crazy to me. But yeah, Corsair Archers, and that does it for I think Synn of the Darkcloud's army. So you want me to move on to the next Umbar army? Do you want me to do Dol Amroth as well? Yeah.
Yeah, just knock them out the park. If you want to move over to Dol Amroth, because they're kind of situated in between the two Umbar armies. Yeah.
Cool. I can definitely do that. So the next army is the Dol Amroth army. I believe it's the only one on the field. This one's being commanded by Mech Apollo, who is one of our moderators on the Discord as well. And he's got some Dornernal pikemen, a Thelon men-at-arms, very standard kind of Dol Amroth army. A lot of heavy infantry, a couple more units of men-at-arms right there. 2 units of Talon Knights, real sexy. They had a lot of funds for this battle, I can tell.
They last a long time. You'll see it in this battle.
These Talon Knights are ridiculous. There's a 300 style battle just further down this little pit, and yeah, the Talon Knights do not give it up lightly. 4 days.
I got tingles. I can't wait to see it. I got more Athellan men-at-arms, a lot of Athellan men-at-arms, very numbers-heavy army here. Athellan halberdiers, who are real sexy. And does everyone know about how halberds have changed? Like, is that bear repeating, or?
Like, no, you should tell us.
Yeah, more info, man.
Okay. I just, I gotta spoon it all in there somewhere. The halberds are actually a little bit lower in range than pike units. Previously, they were just kind of AP pikes, and they just trucked everything to pieces. But now they don't. So there's a little bit more of a balance between the two polar arm units. But anyway, a couple units of door and archers. One here, I think one on this little plateau, and that's about all that I know. Actually, I missed some Black Swan Vanguard as well. So 2 units of Black Swan Vanguard. I think there's a unit of Haven Guard milling about here.
Yeah, it's just by the tunnel entrance, I think, and that's actually the general unit as well, I believe.
So Imrahil's going to be chilling in there. And that does it for Doran Ernal, for Dolamroth.
But yeah, bit of roleplay going in,
They got a lot of Doran Ernal units, that's my bad.
It is. And then it's got Enxfitz left, I believe. Last defender.
He's the last one. We got another Umbar army here, commanded by Enxfitz, and he's got Belgier halberds. He's got a little bit less of an elite approach, I would say, than some of the Darkcloud has. A lot of Belgier footmen in here as well. A lot of kind of holding units. A couple units Belgier archers. One unit representing Nardu Balweep, which is a great word to say, especially when you're really tired.
Yesterday, our last replay, it's just going up, being uploaded now. I have a challenge to see if I could pronounce it, and I managed to do it then. I'm not going to embarrass myself. I'm not going to embarrass myself after you've just, made it look easy. But, I'm getting there slowly with the pronunciation.
I mean, I don't even try. When you're from the Ozarks, you can't say those fancy words like that.
Well, next time, when you really want to get good at it, just say it 10 times real fast, and by the end of that, either your tongue will be curled in the back of your throat in a big knot, or you'll have mastered it. So, one of the two.
Okay. Here's to tongue curling.
Castamir's Legion as well for Enxfitz, Belgier Footman, more Castamir's Legion, Numenorian Shield Guard, not Shadow Guard, and let's just take a moment and just rest on these guys and look how damned beautiful they are, and how visually distinct the team has managed to make them from the Mordor variant, which is kind of cool. And I think there's a small little contingent back here up on this hill, I assume for some kind of last stand. Narnar Sentinels, and a unit of Castamere, Harbingers Castamere, and another unit of Narnar Royal Guard. And I think that just about does it for the army comps.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much correct. I think we kind of held off to kickstart the battle because Synn and Darkcloud actually started outside of the city deploy zone. So we kind of saw him sort of milling into the city. But I'm just going to put it down to ×1 speed now. And then just looking over at Hussar, he actually decides to move forward relatively quickly, really quite aggressively. I think once you sort of start this assault, you kind of have to go in all guns blazing.
Yeah, and it was hard to deploy. You'll see some of those troops, they'll end up going in a mile-long column formation, just because I couldn't deploy where I wanted to, so I just started clicking on everybody, just sending them up there, because it was impossible to get them to form up the way I wanted to, and I was just wanting to get through the door and close to the cliff, because you'll see, I'm getting impaled by arrows all the way moving up.
You kind of see the Nimrodal Rangers just on the cliff already sort of popping out of hidden formation, so
there I just start clicking like crazy.
Oh, I can see that. That's never a good thing.
And we kind of around about this point in the battle, you'll see it shortly, Jordan. But we discovered something, and bear in mind that Muro made this map. He had no idea this was here until he was kind of messing around with where to deploy at the start of the battle. So you're gonna see in about a couple of hundred frames potentially the biggest cheese move off this entire battle. But it kind of works to the favour, and I'm glad it happened because this battle comes down to the wire. My friends, we were playing it and we didn't even know who was going to win 1 minute away from the end of it. It was close.
Yeah. But yeah, and orcs don't play by rules of war, so anything goes.
Anything goes. So we do see Titus kind of splitting up some of his army. I think the initial intention was that he would support my sort of assault on this Golamroth, the Men-at-Arms and Halberd line, and I would send a few men to sort of help out with Rune. And there's sort of a little bit of a cav chase in the distance. Apollo has his Knights of the Silver Swan just kind of out, and we're kind of playing a game of cat and mouse.
But I'm just trying to get close to those cliffs so they can't shoot me as easy because I think I don't know. Is there a trail of dead bodies?
Oh, there definitely is.
There's a fair few. There's a fair few.
Yeah, that's just the start of it. But yeah, see these funky column formations? Like it's like, yeah, let's just take the hardest way up there.
And straight in, first unit in, Black Legion of Barad-dûr. You can tell straight away that Titus means business. They're backed up by these heavy maulers, ready to sort of crunch.
I'm knocking on the door.
And we've seen quite aggressive play by the Numenorian Lancers, deciding to go for this Black Swan Vanguard.
Yeah, he kind of just... There wasn't a spear unit up there, or halberd, so I was like, why not? But before, like, I was sitting my cav up and I wasn't really watching, that was all open. He didn't have any troops there, so I'm like, well, I can sneak around and get some rangers. And then he moved him up there real fast, so I didn't really have a way.
That would have been a nice play, but hey, the Black Swan Vanguard, that's not a bad consolation prize. If you can cut those guys down pretty quickly, I mean, prevent them from getting, like, solid support, then that's a win for you.
Whatever, everyone else has cav, so I might as well just try to use mine.
Well, 3 cav for 1 Black Swan Vanguard, might I point out. Potentially not the most successful charge. And if we just zoom to the left-hand side of that choke point, we see the cheese. We see the cheese.
Oh my goodness!
Smile.
Oh, so, can they go up there?
Oh. We discovered this in game. And we capitalized. And at this point, I was kind of peppering them, and Titus, I think, was kind of screaming down voice chat, sort of, charge, charge.
Oh my goodness, so that's dirty. Apollo must have been pissed.
Apollo was kind of cheesed.
But yeah, I mean, even if they had whatever there, they needed like 3 units to hold that, because I sent 2 units of Black Legion in there, so I'm just gonna slam past anything.
Oh man, that puts him in such a nasty position. I mean, he's got so much committed into that choke point, and now he's got to deal with this massive flanking movement.
Yeah. It's a little bit too much, and you can see his Talon Knights sort of coming up already to offer that support. I'm kind of moving up, and with Titus's help, we're sort of loosening up this choke point. He is going to send some more men-at-arms to try and plug this gap.
Yeah, and what he does there is he removes all of his shields in front of those halberds. So what we do is we just turn around and start peppering those halberds, like pretty much point blank, because he either stands there and takes it, or he moves his front line.
And just to add insult to injury, there's about 60 trolls that are coming through as well. Behold the power of Muro.
That's how serious it is, because I did not want to lose half my army trying to just walk up this area with all those archers on that bridge.
A nice charge on those rangers too, by the way, with the Numenorian Lancers. That's like half the unit right there.
I did miss that carnage, but I am now looking at the bodies, and considering the type of map, for him to lose a unit of rangers this early on, it's huge. We're talking upwards of 500 kills if played correctly.
Oh, absolutely. Rangers are a great equalizer in choke point battles like this.
No, for sure, for sure. And I'm actually going to zip over to Muro's side. he does stay here for quite a while, and I won't go too close because that side of the map is buggy. But he does have his halberds and some heavy maulers trying to get some Belikar footmen, and he's committed some Sauron's Will, some slightly better AP, some trolls, and some heavy maulers. So an incredibly AP heavy line to sort of break through this first chokehold.
Yeah, those heavy maulers were accidentally mine. They ended up going over there for some reason, so I'm like, well, I'll just send them in over there. Kind of buggy on the deployment zone.
And I have actually broken through the first Dol Amroth choke point. And we do this first section very quickly. There's only a few units left, and most of them are broken. So at this stage, it's not looking good for the defenders. But there's only one of those points in the map, so we can't cheese our way through the whole map.
We had to, and if you guys ever get a chance to play this map in the future, if Muro deems so, then this first choke point is like you have to get up on this ridge and get close to the cliffs and hide behind buildings, otherwise you will get peppered all day long.
Yeah, for sure. I think because of the game of cat and mouse, I think Apollo's cav is all the way at the back, just on the other side of this ridge. But we do have some of the Lyster's cav coming to apply some sort of pressure. We're sort of trying to make some plays with the Melkor's Chosen, trying to catch these rangers out. But I decide better of it. The Melkor's Chosen are good, but they're going to have hundreds of javelins and archers along those sort of those cliffs on either side of the tunnel. So it makes it a scary prospect when one of the better things at dealing with heavily armoured cav or night cavalry is to just throw shit at them. Pardon my French.
Agreed, and it's going to be interesting to see how Paulo kind of recovers from this, because you guys really swept through those first two choke points in a very short period of time. And that was like 5 or 6 units that he lost really early in the game, so he's kind of on the back foot right now.
Yeah, and it was all because of a cheesy move, I guess, but yeah, I mean, it was faster than what we expected it, because we tested this game out the day before and it was really unbalanced. We balanced it better, and I mean, it was super hard when we was testing it, and we were like, well, that's why we have to hurry bust through these choke points, because it is a grind fest. But it ended up not being like that.
No, the biggest grind of the battle is actually the tunnel. We really wanted to press our advantage. As you can see, the pikemen aren't even behind the lines of Enxfitz before we've already entered the tunnel. We need to break through these couple of units so we can help Muro out, is our thinking. But
yeah, by the way, Muro has the toughest spot, I think, of anyone.
There's also this particular choke point here as well, where Dol Amroth is sort of preparing against Rune. That little walkway, when I played yesterday against Synn, he had rangers and javelins and crossbowmen all along the ridge, and he just let me pile up. They were all hidden, and then he just popped them up and just started destroying me. I think he got upwards of 600-800 kills in that one choke point alone. Granted, they were playing Gondor, not known for their pushing power, but my god, it was embarrassing. So I'm glad the rehost happened.
Yeah.
Very sneaky. That sounds like Synn.
Yeah, very sneaky. Very, very sneaky. I wasn't impressed. And actually, we're going to zip right over to the far side. We do see Lyster and myself catching out Apollo's cav. We kind of waited until the main assault was underway. We kept tabs on him. I mentioned it earlier, and we actually are able. Oh God, apologies for the trees, guys. But we actually are able to punish this cav quite severely, and you will see before the end of the battle where they could have been used and how they could have been, useful. So that's an important one to note.
He managed to catch it before the entire unit was killed, but like that's easily half of them right there. Ooh, I think they're all gonna die, aren't they?
Oh yes, I think they all die or break. I think
Savage.
6 also get away. So that's an expensive.
Death Valley in there, dude.
Death Valley. We've got the charge of the trolls. We've got some trolls and Black Legion that I've sent forward. I noticed they were relatively weak on this left flank, and I was very keen to get these rangers out of action. They're unsupported apart from that line, and I just kind of spam click sort of this Black Legion, and they do sort of, I just want them to stop firing ASAP, and I kind of do break through with a few units, although it's not as coherent as I would have liked it to be.
Yeah, in the battle it's pretty laggy, so when it's laggy like that, it's tough to micro. It's just, you know, you kind of just want to sit back and not let it lag so much.
Ooh, here comes the reinforcements, Casimir's Legion and the Talon Knights together. That's it's a pretty nasty counter push.
They bottle up it pretty fast.
It's basically it was my 2 units, the unit of trolls and the Legion of Barad-dûr, who managed to get through. Then the gap is plugged by the Legion and the Talon Knights, packed up by Corsair Pikes and another Legion, as well as the Warlords of Umbra. So they're committing quite heavily to this choke point. I think they realise that if this falls, then Muro gets in, and if Muro gets in, it's sort of GG. So they have to kind of make this choke point as painful as they possibly can.
They are well poised to do that. Synn's really committing in a big way.
Yeah, I think I lose most of my army in this choke point right here.
Yeah, I think I lose most of my mine just to arrow flak. I spread a little bit too thin. I think I've been Lyster a little bit, but I mean, yeah, a lot of men were sort of lost to routing. And let me just point something out. My troll drummers have been running the entire battle, by the way, and they've only just got into the tunnel. They've only just got there here now. And, you know, I think we're really quite worried at this point, because I think a lot, granted it is low tier stuff, but at one point I think that the morale is very close to the wire. It's very close to the wire.
You know, I have to say, oh, sorry, go for it, man.
No, you good, yeah.
Well, what I was going to say is one of the things I've enjoyed about this is that I've heard a lot of concerns from people about, you know, the way that push tactics kind of work and the kind of idea that they're unstoppable. But this really shows how and what tools you need to use to shut down something like this, because like the application at the proper time of just a few elite units, there's like a couple Talon Knights in there and maybe some Casimir's Legion, it really kind of turned this around. And now you guys are getting absolutely just mowed down.
Yeah, so I feel like it was almost on purpose. Like, they let us push through with those guys, and then they bottled it back up, where we had no more steam in the tank, and it was just like that was it. Like I couldn't do anything else because they just cut through my pushing power.
We do have another Black Legion coming in now. I think this is one of the better ways to plug up a chokehold. They not only did they have multiple layers. Sure, the first one went down really quickly, but they had another one there in time to plug the gap. So, and also when you support it with Cav, when they start to break through, they're not in formation. They're in a formation kind of like the Black Legion are now, charging these Belfast Marines. You can punish a legion like the Black Legion, a unit like the Black Legion, quite severely. And my Legion have broken, for example, and you can see the Hussars, who's also broken, fighting to the death. So they've kind of used these elite troops to sort of wear down the morale. You can see the utter carnage in this, and it's kind of stopped the push in its tracks. We're now throwing orc fodder into the mix to sort of kind of keep this momentum going, but it's just not really working.
It's a beautiful shot right down the tunnel of all of those reinforcements pouring in, all the beasties and all the small orcs and stuff. Like, it's just a really cinematic battle.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah, it's a really well made map. I mean, there's a lot of, he put a lot of time into this.
Yeah, hats off to Muro. This is a really cool map, and actually I kind of want to play on this. How do you guys feel about playing a game after?
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down.
Cool.
I quite like to defend that.
It's definitely like it's definitely like at least because we tested and balanced it. It's definitely a 7-player map because there's so many choke points. It takes about 3. I mean, 4 defenders would be a lot harder, but if you balance the money right. But it definitely takes that many troops to defend every choke point.
Yeah, with 3 armies, they kind of abandoned the outer sort of defences and originally just opted to defend pretty much where Synn is now and where Enxfitz is. Just up until this choke point, they kind of didn't even bother with these outer defences, just because they just didn't have the troops to hold it effectively. Especially if you're playing someone like a rush faction, you want to be able to have thick lines, and if your lines are thin, it's just going to be game before it starts in army comp.
Ooh, looking at some of the other choke points, poor Muro is just getting brutalized by Enxfitz right now.
Yeah,
yes.
He has a tough choke point. 'Cause I played that choke point the day before, and it took me like 70% of my army, maybe 80, just to bust through. So, I mean, he's doing it a lot better than I did. But yeah, it was tough.
He staggered his troops out. And apologies to Muro, the only reason I haven't zoomed in on that particular chokehold is because of the map replay. It really doesn't like that corner of the map, so we can pay him a slightly bit more attention. And I think this is pretty good for the attackers because Muro has broken through one of his choke points, and there's not much in the way of Enxfitz sort of holding up. He's got his Minismortal chosen against his Customer Legion, but he's doing relatively well.
Yeah, I mean, the only Umbar forces really there to pose a threat to him are the archers up on the hill and just a few sparse units of infantry on the ground that I think his trolls and such could really easily push through.
And also the Warlords of Umbar. And talking of Cav, we have the introduction of the Melkor's Chosen. Titus has decided to push through some Cav straight through. Let's open the floodgates here, and it's kind of really cinematic here because you've got the blue of the Dol Amroth, and then you've got this black wedge with some wargs pouring out.
So much Black Legion.
Cinematic. So much Black Legion. We needed it.
Get those things through there. It was hard.
I think this was 3, if not 4 units of Black Legion of Barador to break through this.
The Black Legion.
Yeah, it was a lot, dude. It was a lot. And this is the start of the floodgate, and I think we're just going to zoom over to where Apollo is kind of defending against myself and Rune. We have had Rune sort of sneak up on this far right hand side, and we kind of went for a simultaneous sort of attack while the tunnel battle was going on. And so it's pretty much Golden Boys versus quite a thin line of Corsair infantry and pikemen, and then in the tunnel we have some just bog standard halberds pushing up.
Ooh, some reinforcements coming in from Synn now too. Rune is really giving Apollo what for right now.
Yes, he's got some really nice missile positions. He's got some Corsair Blackguards, he's got some Casimir's Legion who are plugging the gap. I did try and sort of poke around with my Melkor's Chosen, but there was just too much range going on. At this point of time, Synn is holding this line, but we can kind of see the Sion Rim sort of starting to break through against the Numenorian Shield Guards.
Yeah, it's a good play.
He's just trying to silence these crossbows who are going to be immediately pulled back by Synn of the Darkcloud. And at this stage, I think it's sort of, they're kind of starting to retreat across this bridge. I think they've realised that since now Muro is broken through, since that Easterling army from Lyster is about to break through, and also this choke point and the tunnel, they can't possibly hope to sort of defend against it all. So they've made the strategic decision to go across to that last plane, and that, my friends, is where the final battle will take place. But I think we'll zoom in now and watch some of these Talon Knights and some of this cinematic tunnel action, and potentially some of the Runic army as well.
Before we do that,
Stay there forever.
can I just say that I really like this retreat here? This a certain sense of urgency when there's Melkor's Chosen and an entire Runic army just running over the hill, hot on their heels. It's really cool.
It is really cool, and Lyster's done. I mean, I know a lot of these troops were sort of pulled quite early to help with the tunnel. I think they were with the first wave of reinforcements, some of the Corsair pikemen, but Lyster has made short work of Synn's line, and since he's broken through, it's kind of forced Synn, Enxfitz, and Apollo back across the bridge and just sort of reassemble what they have. And of course, they are going to be punished by Titus's Melkor's Chosen.
Yeah, I saw it, but I was trying to get a couple good charges. I didn't really get any good charges this game. For some reason, they wouldn't take off and just do what I wanted. But yeah, I send them back just to see if I can take care of these Talon Knights, because they just are murdering me.
Yeah, they kind of just, I mean, we talked about this just before the tunnel battle starts, and they stay pretty healthy for quite a while, so much so that I was tempted to pull up my catapult and just blow them up. That's how long that they were there for. It was just a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they fought until they're exhausted. Now the Melkor's Chosen are there. That'll turn around a little bit, but damn, that's an impressive last stand. You're right. That is some 300 level shit right there.
Yeah, and then it got so bad for me that I sent in all of my archers just to try to get through them. I had a couple full units of just basic archers, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to send in everybody just so I can see if I can blast through. And still, they're there.
Yeah, this is some pretty cinematic thing stuff right now. And we actually see the Muro pushing up into the last hill of these defenders. I think they decided very early on that they didn't want to hold the bridge, and they didn't want to hold where Muro is at the minute, and they have in fact decided to hole up right at the very top. They still have a decent amount of troops. There still must be around 1,000, 1.5 K troops left for the defenders. Having a look at the percentages, it's 61 to 71, and I think up until the fall of that tunnel choke point, we were actually talking about a difference of only 1 or 2% throughout the entire battle. It was neck and neck, and we were quite worried. Yeah, we were quite worried. We were losing quite a lot of our high tier troops. And our main concern was the fact that I think the only person at this point of time with any Black Legion left, any healthy Black Legion left, was Muro, and he had like 1, maybe 2 units. And we do see the kind of last fall of the Talon Knights. They kind of can't hold up to the orc jabs, the orc lob,
the rear charges, and stuff, everything coming out.
And just we'll wait for these troops to sort of clear and rearrange as they will. They'll kind of move quite quickly on to address this last stand. But we'll kind of have a look at the carnage, so some of the mayhem caused in the tunnel, and then potentially you'll appreciate the power of body piercing ammo.
Yeah, I was promised Rangers with thousands of kills here. I'm hoping I get to see that.
You will see it. There's just tons of dead bodies. And he had, I didn't notice it till like at the end of when we cleared that choke point, but at the top of that hill and those trees up there, he had like a depleted unit of Rangers just up there just picking me off, and it was so small that I didn't see them forever. So they were just up there just getting free shots the whole time.
I think there was only 16, and because I basically called Apollo out at the start of the game, raging about body piercing Rangers, and he was kind of mocking me, saying that, you know, he's gonna school me with his Rangers and everything, and I thought I had beaten him by chasing up the Black Legion trolls and killing him, but these 16 Rangers were just there forever, and he was just microing them, making them hide. He was being a really, really annoying person to play against, but he played really well with them. It was constant thorn on the side, and to be fair, even 16 units of Rangers, you know, if you kind of snipe targets, there's nothing to say you can't get a general kill. And when you're talking orc factions where not everyone has taken troll drummers and things like that, then you know, general death is a big deal. You saw the sort of mass route that went on in the tunnel. We do have Enxfitz push up some crossbow corsairs and some Darkcloud, providing some cover. I think they had one volley left on these crossbows, and I think he wanted to sort of go for my Melkors. I kind of watch Synn go in, and I think I made the call relatively quickly to sort of charge and just turn around and just go for these crossbows.
Ooh, that was a nasty charge against the Black Legion, though. Synn's definitely picking his targets very well.
No, this is going to come into play in the later battle. You see him actually get hidden there.
Yeah, that's one of the most important units in the last stand for attacking, is that Black Legion. Because if you can push past their main line, it's pretty much game over. So I think that was his ultimate goal, was to take out those guys.
Oh, those poor crossbow corsairs.
You don't even know. You don't even know. This is probably one of the better charges in the whole game. I'm not sure if it was worth it.
Ooh, they're just getting eaten. Oh my goodness. Shield your eyes, children.
From far away, it looks like their dragons just eating things.
To 50.
And they broke.
And they broke, and they come right back towards me. So I'm actually gonna pick up most of these. But I seem to remember getting punished and kind of thinking that this wasn't worth it. I think I got a little bit too close to the archer fire. I do send them back after the very first volley from one unit, but I think there are some more arrows that come in, and these are crossbows, so I do actually get punished quite hard for this. I think I lose 4 or 5. So for a crossbow unit with no ammo, I'm not sure if that was worth it, although I'm not sure about the scope of cavalry play and what can be done in this sort of choke point type situation, but still, let's get back.
I really don't envy you guys having to attack that that last stand line there. Huge line of Umbar pikes backed up with like some seriously hard-hitting heavy infantry. That is ugly with no Black Legion to back you up.
Yeah,
well, one unit of 106 at this point.
Yeah, I think the only archer power we have left comes from Rune, because I don't think they really used it much.
Yeah, at this point in time, I had two units of the Moranin archers. They still had about half ammo, and I also have my Temple Guard and my Shadow Guard as well. They've got like maybe 3 or 4 volleys. But yeah, so most of the archer power does lie with Rune, although I still have kind of some. At this point in time, I think I've got my Melkor's Chosen, and I've got 1 healthy unit of Moran and Heavy Maulers, and everything else is just support, either archers or cav or fodder. I've got nothing interesting apart from potentially my catapult, which still has a lot of ammo left.
Although lucky for you guys, you still got... Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you.
No, it's all good. Just keep talking away.
The Runic player, he still has his Dragon's Wrath crossbowman, which is going to be a big boon for you guys in the late game.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be one of these... I mean, there's been a few little nice little surprises, but that's definitely one of the more entertaining picks. And just while this sort of gets set up, I'm just going to pan back. Now that it's clear of all troops, if you want to have a look at this tunnel.
Yes, I do. Oh, it's a disaster. I hate to be the person who has to clean this up.
Yeah, I pity the fool. I pity the fool. we're just kind of taking a quick span. There's not much in the way of carnage elsewhere, apart from poor Muro. Poor Muro. He got absolutely wrecked. I don't envy him. His position and the archers that were all up on that ridge. It was just nasty. They had such a horrible arc, and I will stop panning because the replay is trying to give up and die every time I go to specific points in the map. So again, bear with me if it is a tiny bit choppy, but thankfully I tried
multiple times to get this to work.
Where is that catapult shot going?
Yes, there's just a few of those volleys actually. God knows, there were one or two on target, and there was one, I believe that's the one that you were talking about, that just got shot like a mortar, and it just went like 90 degrees up in the air. I'm sad I missed it actually. I think there were another few random shots like that.
Oh, don't worry, I got it.
There it is.
There's another one.
Freaking rocket, man.
Let's just see where it lands. Bear in mind I was targeting these Naranu Sentinels right at the front line, and it's gone back there. Actually, I think I was targeting the Nardu Bawib, just because they're kind of in the centre, so I thought if it falls short or if it falls far, then chances are I'm going to hit something.
Catapult guy's like, gosh dang it, Dale.
They were like asking me, God's sake, Liam, how much ammo does this catapult have left? How can you be like 20k frames in and still have ammo?
Because you planned
we didn't
ahead.
have time to use it that much.
Yeah, actually, the choke points were so vicious and so close that I couldn't actually safely use my catapult.
Ooh. Slowly, you guys are moving up now. Now the real party's gonna start. I can't wait for this final stand.
Yeah, you'll see me. I'm just trying to take archer ammo for the rest of the army, but I have like 4 depleted units, and that's pretty much all I got. I think a couple are Morannon archers, and like they're like 30-40 people left. So I'm just like, well, I'll just take some archer ammo if they decide to shoot me. But I got Jack.
That was a very short-lived offensive. Half your orc fodder starts to break and run before they hit anything.
I know. It's bad. But yeah, it was, I mean, I don't know. I was just trying to get them to waste anything. I knew I wasn't going to contribute much at the end of this battle. But that's what happens when you're the first one up, right?
Alright, let's see what they got left up here. Two units of the Narnar Royal Guard. That's pretty significant, especially given how blatantly broken they are in .96.
Yeah.
Don't know how that escaped our attention. That's probably my bad.
Our artillery is just missing everything.
I mean, you killed some Corsair pikemen?
What frame are you guys on, by the way?
23,100.
23,100.
Yeah, well,
okay. Yeah, I've just had to fast forward it. My replay died a little bit. Managed to get back. So I'm only slightly behind you guys now. So all you missed was sort of Rune sort of coming up, and there was a short offensive, and I do actually take out a Melkor's Chosen with a catapult shot. That you see, you know, bird walk anyone. And we kind of see Tarnost's Melkor's Chosen trying to punish some of these Belagar archers, quite dangerous. And actually, hold on, correct me if I'm wrong, and I think we might have missed this, but I think Muro has Nazgul somewhere.
He does, I saw them.
So I don't know where they are, but they're here. And I think he's been holding on. Here we go. We got the Nazgul right just in front of my catapult and in between the Olokai as well. So just at the front there. They're bloodied. These guys are nails. And if you can kind of sort of keep them protected, my god, do they last forever. just protect them from archer fire. That's all I can say. And I'm just gonna kind of chill with the camera a little bit, just because we're on the left-hand side of the map. Of course, this is where the last stand takes place.
Yeah. I'm just trying to be annoying at this point.
I mean, I'm super aggressive with my troll catapult. I kind of misjudged how far back everybody was, so just for the replays, I decided to run away because I wasn't actually being targeted by that many arrows. So I thought I might as well make an effective charge. And we do have Synn, the Darkcloud, sort of sallying forward from his front lines, just trying to get a few kills on Muro.
Yeah, trying to keep the offensive a little bit staggered, pick off little smaller isolated units.
But they don't have much room to breathe because Titus immediately sort of closes the gap with these Melkor's Chosen, and they're going to be hounded. Of course, the 32 defense is going to come in handy, and he does sort of attack units on his way back to behind his lines, takes a sweep at my mountain trolls. And I'm just kind of, I kind of see the Muro's Black Legion coming and actually takes them out of shield wall, it looks like, and then puts them back in before he starts to push. I don't know, it looked weird, but I'm just kind of using my trolls to try and make sort of a bridgehead on this left-hand side flank, because I would much rather take some of these diurnal archers and these Corsair pikemen over the sentinels and shield guards. It's definitely the weak point in their line.
Yeah, for sure. I was about to comment on that. Actually, the Muro chose a very good portion of that line to assault, just kind of circumventing the Naru sentinel / shield guard combination very wisely.
Some cinematic shots.
Oh, it's really heating up. Temple Inquisitors following those Black Legion into the breach. Gonna be button heads with some of the Haven Guard.
Oh, yeah, Temple Executioners, and I think my Temple Guard aren't that far behind. I think they're just moving up now to the where Titus's and Melkor's Chosen are. They're out of ammo. I just want to get them really close to the cliff so that they don't get shot, but I also want them really close to hand, just in case. And we do kind of see some progress being made with the last Legion of Black Legion of. That's twice I've done that. Call the unit Legion when talking about the Black Legion, but this is the last unit of Legion of Barad-dûr, I believe.
Yeah, and they're pretty much out of gas. So I mean, that was like I think their last push they had in. They're just so depleted.
So, I mean, as you can kind of see, pretty much this is it. Everything at this point, bar a few units, on both sides actually, has been committed.
Yeah, this is really the do or die moments here, and you guys still have a lot of stuff to carve through. I imagine that's where the Dragon's Wrath crossbows are going to come into play.
Yes,
yeah,
yes it is.
Rune helps out big time here. Without Rune, I don't think we would have it even be this close. Rune had still a healthy portion of his army, and Lyster played with him really well.
Yeah, he only had that one thing choke point to take, but my game has unfortunately crashed. So what I will do is I will just carry on commentating. I'll pull up the replay again, but we'll just end up using Jordan's replay instead of ours. So it's not a big issue, and you'll probably be saved from most of the camera lag, but we'll just pick things up just as they were. So if Jordan, if you'd like to kind of lead this in now, just take us home and just talk about the roundup of the battle.
All right. Well, in the center here, it looks like Rune, yeah, again, really coming out in a big way, pushing through with their Scion Rim. Going to follow that up with some really nasty AP units here. It looks like you guys are supporting them in the Endeavor as well. This is actually, yeah, this is your army, Liam, with some more non-archers, some Orc Fodder, just everything you guys got thrown into that breach, trying to break up that line.
Yeah, it's do or die at that point.
Yeah, I also I think at this point in time, I also commit the my Temple Guard into that specific chokehold as well. I think you're talking about that small gap. I believe it was relatively closed up quite quickly. I think Synn plugs it quite effectively, but Muro was saying everyone sort of pile drive from that one point. We saw a gap, and since they plugged up the rubbish first line of Corsair pikes quite quickly, they kind of had to just repair it, and we saw an opening, and as you guys can see, it's close to the wire, so we kind of had to take this opportunity.
Yeah, some really solid line breaking tactics here. Looks like you got some cavalry behind the lines as well, which is always a nice thing to have. But Synn and I believe Enxfitz on top of it, managing to kill most of them.
Yeah, my cavalry assault did not last. I tried to break them through, and it did not work.
It was a good try, though. I mean, if you manage to get a decently healthy unit behind their lines, I mean, that's a game changer in and of itself. But speaking of game changers, it's Dragon's Wrath crossbow time.
Nice.
You guys are so effective.
I really want to see what these guys get up to.
How much ammo do they have? Is it like 4?
I think it's very, very small. 2 or 3. 3, I think, is the cap.
It's just like a nuke.
Oh, no. I think it was 2 in 0.95. I now think it's only 1. And if you just cast our minds back to slightly earlier on in the battle, this is when Apollo's cav could have been really, really, really important. Having a charge of 15 for a full unit of Dolamroth cav in a battle like this, where we're kind of just turtling, poking our heads out from the line, you could have punished us a lot.
Oh, that would have collapsed your left wing almost entirely, especially with like Balkoth tribesmen in there trying to hold the line. That would have been, it could have been disastrous.
Yeah. I mean, we're down to pretty much, well, except for Rune, we're down to pretty much nothing.
What the percentages looking like? I believe it's still pretty damn close.
81 to 90.
So it's still only 9% in it. But yeah, I mean, I'll let you guys talk.
I'm just waiting here for the Dragon's Wrath crossbows. They're just kind of winding up. The defenders are trying to put some fire into them. I would assume almost desperately, because they know what these guys can do. And ooh, that was a very strange angle for them right there. It doesn't seem like they got a whole lot done. It almost seems like, given the amount of troops that you guys still have remaining, that you can almost win it in an infantry fight, just with sheer weight of numbers. But come on, Dragon's Wrath crossbowmen, don't let me down.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they were relying on was forks breaking, and then all that was left was Rune, which a lot of forks did break throughout the battle. But I think the morale was pretty. They were all pretty steady right now. There's not any shaking going on because there is outnumbered.
See, although we do outnumber, my concern at this point of the battle was the quality. They still have some customers chosen, I believe, or customers legion. They still got the sentinels, or a lot of them. But yeah, it's just at this stage, I mean, I'd committed archers, everything was in, everything, and so it's just to the wire. This is the last stand.
Yeah, Umbar's still undefeated.
Yeah, I absolutely love Umbar. I know it's one of Synn's favorite factions, and it's definitely mine too. Especially in terms of the way they look now that Coma did a lot of the skins for them. There's just nothing else like it out there outside of Reforged, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's nice. I'd say Misty is better though, but
oh god, you're gonna start a civil war, man. Don't say those things.
Nah, it's just get Titus on Misty, and he won't talk about anything else. I mean, I think he has to name drop the fact he plays Misty at least once per video. I think this is just a thing we do, and I have to mock him for it at least once per video. It's our little 1-2 routine.
Yeah, 99% of the time, Misty it.
I gotcha. Well, it doesn't seem like the Dragon's Wrath crossbows have been having a ton of success, and I think Lyster is going to try and reposition them now. He would definitely want to go for the center, I would say. That's where there's a lot of Harbinger still remaining and things like that. But yeah, it's really looking desperate for the defenders, even without the Dragon's Wrath crossbows.
If only they had some Knights of the Silver Swan.
Right, like that would have been a big deal here. Ooh, nasty rear charge coming in from the Camel's Dragon Knights. Again, the defenders desperately trying to kill them, but it's just not fast enough.
Yeah, he did a good job of sneaking them back. Like, he did way better job than what I did. I couldn't sneak my cat back.
Also, Mayor points out that they're right in the very corner of the map. There was a unit of Synn's Corsair crossbowmen. My God, did they do work? They did so much damage. There were I think I even sent my general and my Melkors chosen after them. I think on the charge there, I think I lost about 10 units of Melkors chosen just the crossbows alone.
Ooh, there goes the Runic General. Even at this late stage, yeah, there's actually some shaken units in there. That could be a route for Rune. If only they had those Knights of the Silver Swan again.
Yeah, he could have kept them hidden. I guess that's the importance of not moving a hidden unit until you need to.
Yes, indeed. It's hard to be sneaky with hidden units in Medieval 2, to be fair. They're, I mean, the second you move them, everyone on the whole map can see them regardless of where their army is, so, I kind of like the Attila engine for that. It's a lot easier to be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Sneaky, I guess.
Subtle.
Yes.
I think a lot of people would do it more if that was the case. You know, if battles would turn out way differently than...
it's certainly high risk, high reward. I mean, I've been playing quite a lot of Arthedain recently, so needless to say, my army's been full of hobbits and rangers, so that's been quite fun, and it adds an interesting dimension into battles that can or have the tendency to be very samey, or can be very samey.
Speaking of Arthedain, I have to ask, how are you finding the faction now that we gave them their own set of faction bonuses?
Mate, I cannot thank you enough. Before, Arthedain were sort of, we can do everything pretty well. It's like the introduction character of a campaign. It's what you start on. Now their cav is so much better. It actually feels like you're playing a faction with defined sort of faction like traits and qualities rather than just vanilla. If you get what I mean. Now that it kind of adds in sort of element. So where you play Dolamoth, for example, your killing power is really with your cav sort of thing, and you kind of feel like you get more reward for playing the way that they should be played with the cav buff. It's nice.
Oh, it makes me so happy to hear that.
I have no comment.
One of the things we heard a lot is that Arthedain was... I mean, they were mediocre. We had intended them to be... Well, Synn and Kuro relayed this to me. They had intended them to be... yeah, basically just an introductory faction. Something that you could do just kind of okay with if you were just starting out of the game, just introducing yourself to the mechanics. But at the end of the day, when everyone else was getting buffs, Arthedain kind of ended up being the same. So I'm glad to hear that they're in a better place now.
No, for sure, they are so much more fun to play, and if you used Arthedain as an intro sort of faction to learn the game, I highly suggest picking them up again, because they are not hugely changed, but the way that they feel and the way that they handle and what you're able to pull off with them is a lot more rewarding. You can get away with a lot more. It's just a lot more versatile. So if Arthedain was, or you know, like a comfort pick or a favourite faction, I recommend getting out there and picking them up again, and just make use of that grey company. That's my Arthedain top tip. Mounted BP Rangers. I don't need to say anything else.
Doesn't get too much better than that.
The wet dream when it comes to Reforged.
They've even got extra. They've got Elven Ranger damage too. I think they've got 6 damage instead of 5. I could be wrong, but pretty sure.
Yeah, it's high, and even if it is 5 and 6, then like, you know, they might not even need 6. But actually, maybe we can edit that out, because I don't want to be on record saying that. Keep my grey company as they are, please.
Now, if you're a super elite player, you can always play with Misty. I mean, you have to be the best player ever to play with Misty.
Right. I mean, it's pretty hard to just run forward at things.
Yeah,
Sometimes you get lost. You end up at like the corner store. Suddenly you're buying,
Running
you
in
know,
direction.
3,000 Slurpees for your Orc Horde, and you're like, fuck, how'd this happen?
You have so many troops. Some of them aren't even fighting. I mean,
Well, why do you think Sauron has to expand so rapidly? That's a lot of slushies he has to buy for his orcs.
I mean, that's like the farmlands near the Sea of Nirnan. That's all they make there. It's just sugar. It's just endless sugar plantations.
they love it.
Oh god. So what's happening in the battle? Because unfortunately my game's crashed, so I can't actually see what's going on. I'm sort of commentating from memory here.
Well, at the moment, it looks like Enxfitz is kind of thrown in the towel. Rune has kind of broken through. Everyone is dead. I mean, it's 99 to 93 at this point. I think Apollo is out in the field with his Haven Guard trying to chase down wayward units of like Orc Javelins and stuff, but he's surrounded and getting peppered down by the remaining Runic AP.
He's trying to bump up his kills before the battle ends.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, so he's still got his general in there, by the way, which is the reason he hasn't admitted defeat. And I think he just wanted to see how many he could hack down. I think at this stage, Lyster was begging us to not engage, because I think he wanted to pick him off with his Dragon's Wrath crossbow, just to get one last volley off for the YouTube.
He wanted to use him at least one time good.
Yeah, I didn't really see them do much.
He got one tasty volley off on the guys at the side of the cliff where we snuck our cavalry in. It killed about 20 men if I remember correctly, but it was like one, maybe two volleys. Really, the best trick that I've sort of come across when using them is actually just target cavalry. They are incredibly proficient at cutting down and burning to a crisp cavalry, no matter really what cavalry. After a volley or two, they kind of just drop regardless of what they are, and also it helps with the line of sight as well. So even if they're engaged, you've got a higher chance of these crossbowmen actually taking the shot.
They're also very good against Momokill too. One of the few hard counters left in the game is like maybe 4 or 5 units. They still have the Throne trait that makes them massacre Momokill, and yeah, crossbows are one of the few units that can still destroy them.
Yeah, and if you're just trying to deal with them and you don't have any of the Throne or crossbows, then stick your archers on fire arrow. Your best chance of dealing with them is just making them to run amok, but it's very hard to do just with arrows. I would suggest almost letting them sort of charge you, or getting them once they're in melee. Once they're in melee, if you start peppering them with fire arrows, they tend to run amok quite a lot easier rather than doing it from full HP. It's just a little bit more effective, and you'll probably save a little bit more ammo as well, depending on the type of battle. Obviously, it's quite situational.
Yeah, so the replay just ended, and some pretty nasty casualties here. Let's take a look. Synn getting 3,300, not bad. Enxfitz, again, 3,300, very, very close behind Synn, only about 51 or so kills behind. Apollo also getting a fair amount of kills, but a little bit behind his allies there, but he did get swept away really early.
If only he had his Knights of the Silver Swan.
Yeah, or his first 2 choke points didn't get blown through by just that sheer mass push of like 3 or 4 Mordor armies. That was nasty. It was very unexpected too. And you guys managed to find a very cheesy way around that one cliff, which I applaud you for. That was very unexpected.
Yes. Otherwise, I would have got murked. But yeah, you can see I didn't get a lot of kills at all. I guess that's what happens when you are the first one through the door, and you just get blasted by rangers.
Quality over quantity. You were an integral part in making other people shine. So thank you.
Yes, I'm part of the team.
Rune and Liam's army actually really came out for the team here. The first and second place kills respectively.
I think it's as sort of Titus said. Muro had a nasty choke point, and Titus sort of led the way in the 300 tunnel. So I think a lot of the kills that we picked up were actually from Synn of the Darkcloud's sort of line, where he was facing off against Rune. I think a lot of them broke, and we were able to cut down quite a few in the retreat. Obviously, a lot of it was skill, But yeah, not all of it. A lot of it was sort of chasey down-rotated units. But it was a very, very fun game to play. Absolutely adored the map. So again, thank you to Muro for creating it. We'll talk about opening up to the Reforged sort of Discord in due course. And hopefully you guys will be playing Tarnost yourself. And can I just say a huge, huge, huge thank you to Jordan for agreeing to be our guest speaker and actually saving the recording. And hopefully we'll be doing this again sometime, and maybe even have us on his channel. Oh, maybe not. But we'll see.
No, absolutely, guys. No, that'll be a real pleasure. And thanks for having me today.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Right, until next time then. Thanks.
Thanks,
Peace
guys.
out.